In this video, I'll show you how B2B organizations should set up and use Zoho according to best practices so you can automate and streamline your entire operation. I'm Drew Brockbank, owner of Brockbank Consulting, and a lead Zoho partner, and I've implemented Zoho for over 141 organizations. If you would like help with Zoho, book a free consultation. How are you supposed to set up and use Zoho for B2B? We're inside of Zoho One. Zoho One is the interface that allows me to access different Zoho applications, okay? So with Zoho One, you get 45 plus applications to access. So I primarily use the Zoho One interface for two things. Number one, to jump from application to application. So you can see here, I can jump from the CRM, Zoho Flow to any of these apps if I want to. And then also number two, I use the directory to manage which users have access to Zoho. So which people in my organization can actually use Zoho, then what applications they're able to use, and then which of those users are administrators, meaning they can make changes to the platform, okay? From there, I also use Zoho Analytics. So Zoho Analytics is what allows me to look at my organization at a 30,000 foot view. This is an example demonstration dashboard to give you ideas of what kind of reports you can create for your organization. I love these reports. Okay, so this one, for example, is for marketing. And what I can see here is which of my marketing efforts translates into revenue, okay? So instead of guessing, hey, should we run this campaign? It's gonna be on YouTube. We can look here and say, hey, we're already running LinkedIn ads and we're getting a great ROI. We're actually not in this report, but you get the idea. You can actually tie marketing efforts to revenue generated. That might not be relevant for you, but the important thing to understand is you can create robust reports. So you can see multiple reports on here. I can see my organization, how it performs from left to right. I can see how many visits are on my website month to month, how many YouTube views I'm getting month to month. This is all dummy data, but you get the idea. How many leads generated month to month. MQLs, which is just sales ready leads month to month, close won deals, etc. I could put revenue on this dashboard. There's so much more I can do. The power here with Zoho Analytics is you can tap into multiple data sources. So I can access information from all these different Zoho apps and non-Zoho apps. So Pipedrive, for example, not a Zoho app. Because Zoho Analytics is a business intelligence tool, they're essentially trying to allow you to bring all your reporting into one app instead of doing all of these different softwares in-app report builders. They're saying, hey, grab all your data, put it in one place to unify your reporting. Then you can also string data together to make unique reports and important reports, okay? So that's the first thing, is you can grab data from multiple locations. In-app report builders do not allow you to do that. For example, if I go inside of Zoho CRM, yes, there's a reporting section, but it's not nearly as robust, and I can't put my Zoho CRM data, Zoho Sales IQ data, and my Google Ads data. I can't combine all of that inside of Zoho CRM in the same way that I can do it in Zoho Analytics. So it's way more powerful than any of these applications in-app report builders. Okay, so that's data sources. Then you have data. I can access all of the raw data in this account, and I can also create what's called SQL tables or SQL queries. That essentially allows me to modify and manipulate the data. It gives me the greatest amount of flexibility. It's kind of like a coding language. They refer to it as a coding dialect, but SQL allows you to take your reporting capabilities to the next level. It essentially allows you to build any kind of base table. Think about a spreadsheet. It allows you to string that spreadsheet together in a way that makes sense so that you can build a dashboard that you want. Okay, so it just allows you the greatest amount of flexibility and allows you to create very robust reports. Oftentimes when you get deep into reporting, you'll start to very quickly realize the need for SQL. So that's another advantage of using Zoho Analytics, and that's what I use it for. Okay, I also use Zoho Social to schedule videos like this to YouTube, to LinkedIn, to share my content with people, okay? So if you are needing to schedule content, if you want a content calendar and you want to take social media marketing seriously, you're going to want to use Zoho Social. It's so helpful. Also include UTM parameters in these links. These are coded links, but they end up generating UTM parameters like you can see here, UTM source, YouTube, UTM medium, organic, because that's actually what filters into reports like this, LinkedIn, Google, we got YouTube, I think here at the bottom. Yeah, YouTube. So all of this is extremely important to fit together. So at the very beginning, you want to add UTM parameters. I'm actually going to show you a way where you don't even have to add that. If I say UTM parameters and you think to yourself, what on earth is Drew talking about? It's not very complicated. I'm going to show you how it can be done automatically so you don't even have to worry about it. But it's really important if you're going to take marketing seriously. If you want to drive revenue for the organization, you want to know what efforts drive revenue for the organization, and you don't currently know, you've got to do this kind of tracking. And this is really important to build correctly. Okay, so in addition to using Zoho Social to schedule posts, I want to see, well, hey, when I make these videos, when I schedule posts to LinkedIn and my other marketing efforts, how many visitors are actually going to my website? That's the next step, right, of the customer journey. First, I make some kind of content. Maybe for you, you're calling people. Maybe you go to an event, whatever it might be. The next part of my customer journey and what a typical B2B customer journey looks like is then they visit the website, right? And then keep in mind, customer journeys nowadays, they're not linear, right? So someone's not going to exactly watch a YouTube video from me and then they're going to go to my website and then book a free consultation and then sign. Like that's not realistic. Sometimes it happens that way. More often than not, it's non-linear. So someone's going to see a LinkedIn post of mine, 6 months later, look for how to do ABC on Zoho. Then they're going to see a YouTube video of mine, and then they're going to visit the website. Then they're going to be on my email list, see one of my emails pop up, and then they're going to schedule a free consultation. That might take, 8 months to occur. That's more typical, I would say, than someone just having this very linear, rigid journey. That's okay. We just really want to measure and give credit to the last touch in terms of marketing. Talking a lot about marketing now, we're going to transition into sales. But this is based on a last touch attribution model. I don't want to throw too much at you here, but a last touch attribution model is just saying, hey, along the journey of marketing, right? Watch a YouTube video, click on a LinkedIn post, sign up for my email. What's the last thing that they did before they converted? We're going to give credit to that for now. If you want to do multi-touch attribution models, you can, but this one's based on a last touch, which is the easiest one to set up, and it's the most common one to start with, okay? So this is where I'm able to collect information, Zoho Sales IQ. You embed this code on a website, and then you just start to see the visitors flood in to your website. You can start saying, am I getting the people that I want here? Am I targeting India? Am I targeting the United States? Also, what's nice about this, it gives you IP addresses. So you can essentially say, okay, this is where they're located in the world. And then you can even, when someone submits a form, you can take the IP address, send it to their record in Zoho CRM. That allows you to see all the visits that this person has had before they've contacted you. That's a little creepy, but essentially allows you to say, okay, if one visitor visits 5 times, that's usually when they convert. So you can get some kind of metrics on that if you want to. You'd use Zoho Sales IQ, Zoho CRM, and Zoho Analytics in tandem. Those would have to be integrated in order to produce something like that, a report like that, but it's still very useful. Okay, let's talk about PageSense. So Zoho PageSense allows you to analyze how people are interacting with your website. So if you are determining what changes to make on the website to improve it, it's nice to have some data behind you. So for example, I've got this scroll map. This allows me to see how many people make it to certain sections of the page. So you can see 100% of people that visit my homepage will see the top half, and then about 70% scroll to this testimonial, and then about 60% will see my Elite Zoho Implementation Partner section. Then let's just scroll to the bottom. About a third of people will see some of these case studies and some of my free content, 30%. Okay, so it gives you an idea of how people interact. You also have this heat map. So if you have for example, this isn't a button. So I might think to myself, you know what, maybe I shouldn't have that in that section because people are clicking on it thinking it's a button, or maybe I should link these to certain case studies so they can view more about it. Okay, so this just gives you engagement metrics on your website. This goes to a whole topic on conversion rate optimization. A conversion rate optimization is you saying, hey, once they go on the website, what's the next step? Are they going to subscribe? Are they going to book a free consultation? Think about it in a B2B setting, a lead magnet. What are you trying to get them to do once they get on the website? And how are you improving the website so they actually do the thing? They actually convert on your website. Converting just means they go from visiting the website to booking a free consultation, clarity call, sales call, newsletter sign up, whatever it is, that's a conversion. So you're just trying to improve the conversions here. And that is where PageSense is helpful. Very powerful tool there. I also use Zoho Forms to collect information. So when a new lead signs up on my website, I send them an assessment using Zoho Forms. On my website, it's nice. I actually have a form here where people can request a free consultation. So this is using Zoho Forms. This is a newer format that they've released. It essentially allows you to collect information in a card format. So one question per section, as opposed to seeing all the questions at once. Okay, so this is a really sleek format to collect information. You can embed these right on your website, and then you can collect valuable marketing information based on the form fills. Okay, so I use this both to collect leads and then conduct assessments as well. So I can understand even more about a prospective client before I even meet with them, which is really valuable. I also use Zoho Marketing Automation. What's really nice about Zoho Marketing Automation is I'm able to automate my outreach, okay? So this really helps organizations to scale. I can design one email, and then I can send it out to a list, and I can also schedule a bunch of different emails using sequences, and that really helps me to, I'll show you this email that I sent here. It allows me to send out email blast, which is just, hey, this is a group of my contacts that I want to send out to, my subscribers. Also, you can do these journeys, and this is what you would refer to as sequences or drips. And this essentially allows you to be proactive with your messaging and say, hey, if they're added to a certain segment, time delay, send email here, here, and here. You could refer this to this as a nurture series. There's so much you can do here, but it essentially allows you to market in your sleep. You can sell while you're sleeping with Zoho Marketing Automation. It's a great tool. I use it all the time. Okay, then we have Zoho CRM. So Zoho CRM is the flagship product of Zoho. All the other applications are really there to support the CRM. And what's really powerful about the CRM is once someone is sales ready or even marketing ready or even a raw lead, they enter this pipeline, they enter this funnel, they enter my system. You can see I've got it organized from left to right. Okay, so I've got these Kanban views. They represent different sections of the customer journey. You can get as granular as you want. You can see that leads here in this system means unqualified opportunities. So this is everything before my initial sales call / free consultation. Raw lead is just someone, I have their information, but they haven't opted in yet to marketing communications. Lead marketing ready means they have opted in. Sales ready means they've submitted a form showing that they want to be contacted regarding booking a free consultation. That form that I showed you on earlier on the website right here, this would be, once they submit this, they'd be sales ready. So it just keeps me really, really organized. Sales engaged means not only are they ready for outreach, but I've actually started sending them emails, automated that. Then reached means they've actually booked with me. You can switch the terminology reached to booked. The important thing is that you're actually trying to model the process digitally. Okay, so just to take a step back, leads represents an opportunity to do business with someone that's not qualified. Okay, so what we're doing is we're digitally representing a real thing. Leads, deals, contacts, accounts, quotes, tasks, all these things are digital representations of a real thing. What we refer to that as an object or a module. Okay, so the goal of a CRM of any system is really to present real things digitally in the best way possible. Okay, from left to right, that's how we read. That's how we built the system as well. So reached means booked. When someone books with you, the goal of that first call is to make sure that they're qualified, right? So you're not just meeting to talk, you're meeting to make sure that they are a good fit for whatever you offer in your B2B organization. And so during that call, you're collecting information, budget, authority, need, timeline. You're asking questions to see if they're a good fit and if you guys should work together. Okay, you shouldn't, sometimes in an organization, automatically qualified, so you can skip the leads module altogether. You don't have to go through this in a linear fashion. But the point is, in most B2B organizations, you're not taking every single potential client, okay? So you want to make sure you have some kind of filtration system, which is the leads module for the deals, contacts, and accounts, okay? You want to keep these really clean, deals, contacts, and account really clean, and then leads is usually a little more dirty and chaotic, which is totally fine. That is what it's built for. It's a filter. Okay, so you've got reached, and then during that initial call, you're trying to sort them in not qualified or qualified, in which case you'd go over to the deals module, or rejected if they're just not a real lead. They booked with you and I don't know, maybe a bot sign up or something and scheduled. I don't know how that would happen, but then you got rejected for junk. Okay. Recycled, not qualified also would automatically port over to Zoho Marketing Automation. So you can start automatically sending the messages. Now this raises a question, Drew, this is so much information. How am I supposed to train my team to do all of this stuff? Well, you can duplicate yourself and remove yourself from processes and maintain excellent standards of execution of these processes using SOPs. So we're inside of Zoho Learn now. Zoho Learn is Zoho's learning management system. Essentially what it allows you to do is create standard operating procedures and then send them to everyone in your organization, or at least give access to them so they can just go up to a search bar and say, how to send proposal. And then voila, they have these different SOPs they can refer to. And first they get a video. This is how you should do it. These are best practices. You should make it very searchable with the title up top. Then you got a demonstration video. I use Loom. And then you have the procedure, which is step-by-step how you should actually execute a procedure. And then you got a checklist. Is there a demonstration? You don't have to have a checklist, by the way. The important ones is demonstration, procedure, and then having a title up top. So it's very searchable when people go here and say how to, and then search. Okay. So that's the important thing, is everything that you're doing, you don't have to make an SOP on, but the things that you want to train your team to do at a high standard, and if you want to replace yourself too, this is a great thing to do. I forgot probably the most important thing. You don't have to create these yourself. I actually send these videos to my assistant, and then my assistant creates the procedure. You can see I have a how to create SOP. This is very meta, an SOP on creating SOPs. But what it essentially allows me to do is, instead of watching my own videos and then creating these, I send them to someone, either my assistant or a trusted person on my team. And I say, hey, I'm going to first off test your understanding of this. And then in the future, you can refer to this if you execute this kind of procedure. And so it just allows you to very rapidly train a team and scale your operations. I would very much encourage you to find someone that you can send these to have them create SOPs if you're going to go down this route. You have Code for Humans, which is SOPs, and then Code for Zoho in order to automate and remove yourself from something. Okay. So 2 ways to really scale the system up: using code automations and then using SOPs so that people actually use the system properly. Okay, this is the best way to do it. Also, you can be proactive once you build a base of SOPs. We're still in Zoho Learn here. You can create courses and onboarding programs. So once you have a new assistant that joins your team, or you could do general employee onboarding, then you can have all the SOPs that they need to go through in order to watch videos, and then they'll know, for reference, they can always search for those SOPs, which is just great. It's a great way to be proactive. Very rarely do organizations have good training. So take advantage of this. Don't try to do it all at once. Do one SOP at a time. But organizations that do this are just above the rest, and they're able to be so effective inside of Zoho. So I highly recommend using Zoho Learn. It's a no-brainer. It's a best practice for B2B organizations that are training teams. And it's the best way to, if you're a solopreneur or you're a smaller organization, you're trying to remove yourself from the minutia so you can focus on building the business up. It's a great way to train the team. Highly recommend it. Okay, you got Zoho Bookings. I use Zoho Bookings and Zoho and Calendly to allow people to book on my calendar. So you can see here, accesses my calendar, and then they're able to book here, which is great. So if people want to schedule a meeting with me, they can. I also use Zoho CRM's calendar to view my appointments and to manage my schedule. I use Attributor. This is a tool that essentially allows you to create UTM parameters. So if you remember here, back to Zoho Social, when I scheduled this post, UTM source, YouTube, organic, general, these are codes. And this funnels up to reporting. The reason that we do that, so we can track things very accurately. Now, this may be relevant to you, it may not be, that's okay. Attributor does 2 things really well. Number 1, it automatically creates those UTM parameters for you, so you don't have to. Number 2, it also stores those UTM codes in a cookie. So if you jump from, let's just say, this is the best way to show you. Let's say I clicked on this link, okay? these UTM parameters would be at the top of the link, okay? It would be here. But if I click to a different page, they would disappear. And so since Attributor is installed on my website, as soon as someone lands on my page, Attributor automatically creates these codes, then stores them in a cookie. So if they come back in 6 months, it still exists, it's still there, okay? And then also if they navigate to 5 different pages, it doesn't disappear because typically they disappear immediately. So that's important marketing information. Don't get hung up on this. Attributor costs extra, yes, but I think it's very much worth it, especially for you organizations who really need to dial in your tracking, okay? That's just a best practice for B2B marketing, okay? Don't stress too much if that's not relevant to you. It's not a big deal. Here's where I add my tracking information inside of Zoho CRM. You can see we're in Travis Kelsey's record. So here's the lead source, campaign, medium. This is where that information ends up. So you can either do it manually in the URL, you can use Attributor to do it automatically, but then Attributor or your manually added UTM parameters would then be added here so you can do your marketing tracking. This is the baseline of information that has to be collected in order for you to accurately report on your marketing efforts. I also use Clay. Clay's gaining a ton of popularity. It's a great tool. It essentially allows me to do data enrichment. So let's say we're in a record like this and I want to know what industry this person is in. So to take a step back with you, imagine you book on someone's website a contact us form and you do first name, last name, email, phone number. Well, the nice thing about Clay is Clay can take that information that would be added to a lead record and then it can say, okay, this is the company that they filled out in the contact us form, last name, first name, email. And then it can find your LinkedIn URL using AI. By the way, I don't even pay for this. I just get a couple hundred credits for free every single month. So if you want to try it out, start a free trial. It is great tool. Really shows you the power of AI. I don't see a lot of strong AI use cases. This one knocks it out of the park for a couple of reasons. So number one, it can scrape really well. So it finds really well. LinkedIn, I've used other lead enrichment tools. Clay is superior for so many different reasons. I'm not going to waste this whole video going into Clay. Here's the gist of it. Finds the LinkedIn profile with a higher degree of accuracy and more often. So a lot of other tools I've used, it's like 20% of the time it will find the LinkedIn URL based on first name, last name, email, company, etc. This is more like 80%, okay? Across the board. I want to say it's more, but I'm going to play it safe. About 80% of the time it finds these accurately. And then it can scrape really well. Meaning once it finds the URL, you can get information as if you're dipping into LinkedIn's CRM and taking information out. You get the information, their title, how many connections they have, their headline, summary, country that's on their LinkedIn profile, location, their company, and then dip into their company information within LinkedIn and grab information. This is just such a powerful tool to enrich the data that you have. When I say enrich, I'm just saying adding relevant details. So if someone gives you first name, last name, email, and company, if you ask them for 50 other data points, they wouldn't give it to you on a form. And so this is your way of taking a small amount of information and getting way more information. Okay, I didn't even go over the best part of this. I like to do a little bit of website analysis here. So you can use Clay's AI feature. Again, I just do this. This is free. I'm not even paying to do this, which is just doesn't even seem real. But what's so nice is since they give me their domain, right, through their email, I can go on their website using this Clay's AI agent. They call it Clayagent. And I can say, hey, analyze their entire website and tell me what industry they're in. And then it pops out an output for what industry they're in. So it's like ChatGPT meets a website scraper, right? And then what do they offer? What are their different services? Are they B2B? Are they B2C? What's their sales process? So I can gather that information. So for what I'm doing, a mix of Calendly form or Zoho forms, I get information that way. I also get information immediately from Clay, and then I also have them fill out an assessment. So before I've even met someone, I know so much about their organization, what they offer, what industry they're in, potentially how much revenue they've raised. Or revenue they've generated, revenue they've raised. You get so many insights there. I have an assessment that asks a bunch of questions. So it just gives you the highest amount of preparation. It's easy to get inundated with all this information, but it's really important to understand the concept of enrichment, lead enrichment, especially in a B2B context. Okay, then you've got Zoho Flow. So Zoho Flow is much like Zapier. Zoho Flow allows you to essentially build automations and integrations with ease. You don't have to use code. You can use code, and it's very powerful. By the way, Zoho's coding language is called Deluge. And Deluge is an extremely powerful language similar to JavaScript that allows you to further manipulate data. So SQL is to reporting, what Deluge is for automations and integrations. Just allows you to take it to the next level, make them more robust, make them and manipulate data the way that you want. So inside of Zoho Flow, one of the things that I do is I actually send this information to Clay. So when I create leads, I'm able to push that information to Clay and then absorb that information via webhook, then update the CRM record, which would be the lead in this case. So this is a very small flow, but essentially what's happening is at the end of this Clay, we're doing a call, API call. By the way, if this stuff isn't making sense to you and you're not technical, it's fine. It's not a big deal. But these are important concepts to understand. I would argue they're extremely important. This company call is essentially saying, hey, we got all this information. We ran it inside of this application called Clay. Where are we going to send it? And we say, hey, we want you to send it over to Zoho Flow. And the way that we designate the address for them to send information to is through the webhook. That's just an address. We're just saying, hey, if you send information to this address, we are going to update our lead. So I use Zoho Flow to do that. I also use Zoho Flow that every time a new lead is added, I use zero bounce to validate the email. I don't want to send emails to invalid emails because it will hurt my domain and it will prevent me from sending emails to everyone on my list. That is not worth it. You don't play that game. Once you penalize your domain, it is so hard to come back. I've had people book calls with me crying that they can't send any emails for their B2B organization with tens of thousands of contacts that they're not able to reach. And so it's just something you don't want to play around with. So validate your emails is a best practice. I just do it automatically, so I never have to worry about it. And then zero bounce is a little more cost, but it is more than worth it. There's a lot of service providers that you can integrate with and use there too. Lead scoring. I use Zoho CRM for lead scoring. I want to see, okay, the leads that are pouring into my system, how legit are they? And you can determine how legitimate of a lead they are in a couple different ways. Lead scoring is a great way to do it. So for example, I could say lead source is YouTube. You've got two general buckets for lead scoring. You've got behavior-based scoring, which is down here, and then you've got information-based scoring. So let's say someone comes in from Google, I could add 5 points. They come in from YouTube, 10 points. The argument there would be, well, if they came in from Google, they searched, they interacted with the website. The argument with YouTube to give them more points would say, well, if they went through YouTube, they probably watched a video, and a video is more interactive. They probably gain more value, so let's give them more points because they're probably more legitimate of a lead. You can just play that game. It's not perfect, but again, what you're doing with the system is you're trying to represent real things. So you're trying to represent legitimacy. It's not going to be perfect, but you can build a system to give you a general idea of, hey, for every email response, this is behavior-based scoring. We're going to add 10 points. Well, if they have 100 points or 1,000 points versus 0 points, then you get a better understanding of how legitimate that lead is. I mean, if they've opened 500 emails that you've sent over through 6 years or whatever, they're much more legitimate of a lead than, someone who just has 10 points. That's not always the case, but it gives you a good baseline to start from. So that's lead scoring. And then you can just present that on your lead record. You don't have to use leads, by the way. You could do that on contacts as well. It's not a big deal if you didn't want to use the leads module. You can still use Zoho. I would make an argument that in most cases you want to use leads, but you don't have to. I also use Zoho CRM to send out text messages through the Smooth Messenger plugin. It's an excellent plugin that allows you to essentially have an iMessage UI UX for messaging inside of Zoho. Highly recommend that you check that out. It's very, very useful. Love sending text and having conversations with my clients right here inside of the CRM using Smooth Messenger. It does cost a little extra. You got to go through Message Media, but it's worth it. I also use Zoho to schedule transactional emails. Key thing to note here, Zoho Marketing Automation and Zoho Campaigns are the applications that you use for mass marketing messages, but you don't want to use them for transactional emails. So transactional emails, I say, I email you individually, say, hey, how's it going with this project? Okay. If I'm going to use Zoho Campaigns, Zoho Marketing Automation, I'm going to send like a big email blast, right? So if we go here, and check out these emails. Like this email that I'm going to send would be like a promotional email to somebody. Okay, so it's a bit different what you're going to be doing there. what you're going to, so if you're going to schedule sales emails or transactional emails, you do it in Zoho. If you are going to send mass marketing emails or promotional emails, do that inside of Zoho Campaign, Zoho Marketing Automation. Zoho CRM has caps on how many emails it can send in mass. So that's my reasoning for it. These are my suggestions. This is how the systems are built to be used. And if you work against the design of the different applications inside of Zoho, then you are not going to have fun with Zoho. It's just not going to work for you. So you got to be aware of those things. Okay, so this is a cadence. Cadences inside of Zoho CRM, this is a feature that essentially says, hey, once a lead enters your system, how do you want to reach out to them? Also, you can use cadences to just model any kind of automated outreach, whether it be a contact, a customer, a lead, whoever it is, you can automate your outreach with Zoho cadences. I do that. Okay, next thing here, I also use the deals module to manage my qualified opportunities. So this is my pipeline where I manage my qualified business opportunities. So in B2B, this is extremely important. Now you can see I have qualification, needs analysis, proposal. I can expand these, hide these, negotiation, closed won, closed lost. Got a couple stages here. If you want to add more, you can. It depends on how long your sales process is. If you have a complicated sales process, maybe you want 7 stages. If you have a small sales process, maybe you just want 4. Okay, 4 to 7 is a sweet spot. Anything beyond that just gets too crazy. Anything lower than that just doesn't give you enough information to really go off of. So that's important to understand about this Kanban view, is you're trying to represent or model a real life process in the best way possible, while understanding this isn't going to be linear. Some might be needs analysis, then qualification, proposal. You might be jumping around here. It's not always going to be a linear process where someone goes from here to here, but this should give you a snapshot, general understanding of what's in the pipeline. How are things moving along? Each individual sales rep should be managing this for themselves, or if you're a solopreneur, you've got to manage this Kanban view. Okay. You don't have to do it perfectly and update it all the time, but it should give you a general idea of what's going on. That is the purpose of using the deals module. Okay, you got Zoho Work Drive. I use Zoho Work Drive to store documents. It's like Google Drive or any other cloud storage application. Just allows you to store information that's relevant to the organization. The nice thing is Work Drive also integrates with Zoho CRM. So if I was to go into one of these records, I can go over to attachments. We'll find attachments here. And then I can actually just integrate with Zoho Work Drive right within Zoho CRM. That's the power of this platform, because it's all these applications were built by the same company. They have very tight integrations with each other. Okay, so that's Zoho Work Drive. You're going to want to use that. If you're using Zoho One, you're already paying for it, so why not use Zoho Work Drive? Let's talk CPQ functionality. This is going to be relevant to you if you send quotes. And if you deal with quotes, if you're a sales manager, if you're in sales, anything surrounding the quotes module, you're going to want to stick around. If you have nothing to do with quotes and you don't want to worry about it, you can skip past this section. Okay, so CPQ stands for Configure Price Quote. And I'm going to show you exactly where in the workflow this actually kicks in. So if I go over to a deal record, I'm in a deal record right now. A deal, by the way, right here, this represents a qualified opportunity to do business with someone. So let's just say we sell microphones. This is our company. We sell microphones. You're selling for this company. And someone comes in as a lead, you have a discussion with them, they meet your qualification criteria, budget, authority, need, timeline, and you're like, great, you're qualified. Let's talk about products. And they say, we want products A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And they're different kinds of products that you offer. And they're kind of vague with their requirements. They're doing an event and they're like, we need a bunch of microphones so we can set them up and get them wired in before the event starts. And you start asking a bunch of questions on this call, okay? You're diving into the needs. And they say, you know what? We think you have a good understanding of what we need. Go ahead and send us a quote so we can see how much it would cost for you to supply our microphones for this event. Well, great. And it's a panel event. There's a bunch of panelists and there's a bunch of speakers. Well, I can go over to quotes and then I can go over to new and create a quote for them. Okay. So this is post call. I've got all my notes on what I need. And this is where CPQ kicks in, is this quoted items section. So this is CPQ is very relevant to organizations with lots of SKUs. If you're dealing with lots of different kinds of products, then you are really going to want to use CPQ, because this is the crux of the issue. Is when I go here to select products, I don't have the best user interface for scrolling through them. I can make it a little better by going here. Now, keep in mind, this is a demo instance, so all of this doesn't accurately reflect any of these services. This is just an example to show you what products might look like here, okay? But let's pretend that we had hundreds and hundreds of SKUs, maybe even over 1,000 SKUs. It would be a little overwhelming to go page by page and go through all of these, right? That would be really confusing. You could make it a little easier by searching for a product code or product name, but it's still not the best workflow for selecting these products. So this is where CPQ kicks in, configure price quote. That's what CPQ stands for. You've got guided selling, you've got product configurator, and price rules. Now, technically, guided selling isn't an automation, but we're going to go over it anyways, just because I want to. And we're going to start with guided selling here. So guided selling makes the selection process of your own products easier on the rep or whoever's creating the quote. So if I go to microphone questionnaire, this guided selling essentially gives me a series of fields to select to filter by, and it contextualizes the field with a question. So what product category is the prospect customer looking into? You could make this whatever you'd want, and then they would go through your rep, select all the questions, click submit, and the output would be, hey, based on all of the filters that you selected or all the filters for the fields you selected, this is what's left. So it narrows down the scope of the products that you're looking at so you can select the right ones, okay? So that's guided selling. Let's talk, and so you can configure guided selling in this interface. It's really nice, it's very clean. And then you got product configurator. Now, this is a bit different. Product configurator, let's just give ourselves a different example here. Let's say in my organization, if I quote someone a Zoho implementation, it has to be paired with a discovery engagement, right? Discovery engagement here, Zoho implementation. I could set up this rule so when someone is creating a quote and they select Zoho implementation, it automatically adds a line item underneath it with Zoho discovery engagement, okay? That way, when we send the quote over to a prospective client, they can see the breakdown of line items. So they don't just see one, we want to send them an itemized quote. We don't want to send them a quote with just one item, which is Zoho help. Okay, we want to break it down so they can see what they're actually paying for. I can do this automatically through the product configurator. So it's essentially a workflow rule, which is when Zoho implementation is selected, this rule will be applied to all quotes, then add this mandatory Zoho discovery accelerator line item, okay? It's a very simplified overview of what these automations do, okay? Guided selling kind of excluded as an automation, but you get what I mean. We got price rules, okay? So let's say that I wanted to add, this is just a made up product here. Let's say RFID kit was something that I sold with my microphone business. Okay. This is a kit of microphones set up, tutorial, maybe something like that. And I wanted to say, hey, when someone orders a certain volume of these kits, okay, from 100 to 200, I want to discount 10%. From the list price of the quoted items, okay? So not just at the quote level, at the line item level on the list price, I want to knock off 10%. Well, I can do that from here, which is great. So this just allows you to automate different actions on the product level, okay? It's a very sophisticated system for automating what you're doing to the product pricing and things like that. And here for adding items that need to be bundled together or that are offered together, just so you bake it into the system. It leaves less room for human error, and it just allows you to do less and achieve more in the quotes module. So we're going to talk about this automation where we take a quote that's been generated inside of Zoho CRM, and then we convert it into a sales order inside of Zoho Books. But it's not going to make much sense why this is useful unless I give you some context. So I'm going to give you some context real quick. We've got different modules inside of Zoho CRM and inside of different applications. Some of these modules include leads, deals, contacts, accounts, tasks, quotes. Inside of Zoho Books, we got financial record types, and then all these other records have their own, all these other different applications have their own record types, okay? And these record types or modules can also be referred to more technically as objects. And objects are just things in real life that are being digitally represented. For example, this is really important. Just hang in with me for a couple minutes and I'll bring this all home. A contact represents a person, an account represents an organization, a deal represents a qualified opportunity to do business with someone, and a lead represents an unqualified opportunity to do business with somebody, okay? A quote represents what could be purchased by either a potential customer or an existing customer, okay? That's what a quote is. Now, the reason that I bring these things up is some people are so confused. They're like, why can't it just be one record? Well, it's really simple why. You could have one opportunity with someone. Let's say you offer physical goods and someone is interested in 10 of your products. And so they say, send me a quote. I want to see how much it's going to cost. You generate the quote and you send it over to them. And then they say to themselves, I was interested in 10, but I actually really want 5. Well, you want a historical record of sending 2 quotes now, the first quote with 10 products and the second quote with 5. And you can't store all that information on one record. The record would be like 1,000 pages long if you just combined all these modules together, okay? And you don't have to go into the subject, but there's what's called data normalization, which is how to make data database ready. It's breaking the rules of normal forms to store information that belongs on a quote on a deal. Okay, you can do it. There's some cases where I'm like, let's just break the rules for the sake of a user experience, but most of the time you can't. Okay, so I told you what a quote represents, right? A quote is what someone could purchase, okay? And then we've got a sales order. And a sales order lives inside of Zoho Books/inventory. So if you have a quote, you send it over to someone, and they're like, great, let's move forward. You need to now convert this quote into a sales order because a quote is what could be purchased. A sales order is the commitment to purchasing ABC goods, okay? It's the commitment to purchase. And a sales order then breaks into 2 things, okay? The sales order has the financial obligation, which is what you need to pay. And then those would be the invoices. And you can potentially have multiple invoices against a sales order. I'm not saying this is always the case. I'm just saying these are why these different records exist. Okay, there's reasons for it. So within a sales order, you can have multiple invoices because you could say half up front, half later for the goods, half right now. We'll order them. We'll get them out of the warehouse and send them over to you. And then you have the half once they're actually delivered. Okay, so you could have 2 invoices. And then you have the other side of a sales order, which is the actual shipping, the commitment that you have to actually send them the goods that they purchased. You can even use sales order for services, but we just won't go, or for non-physical products. Like if you're selling courses, you can do that, but we're just going to stick with the physical one for now. And the physical will look like you have packages and then you have shipments, right? So you have sales order, packages, shipments, and then you have sales order, invoices, and then payments. And those are different kinds of records that represent real things digitally. That's why we call them objects. So lots of objects, right? You could potentially have a lead that converts to a deal contact account, from the deal a quote, from a quote a sales order, then from a sales order a package shipment, and then from a sales order an invoice payment. Okay, so it gets a little crazy. Now that's the backdrop for what's actually important for this automation. Okay, so now that you have the context, this will make sense. Let's go into a record here and show you in the quote. We already have a quote generated for us. I have this script right here. And this script right here deconstructs the quote, and then it recreates it inside Zoho Books as a sales order, okay? The reason that this is important is Zoho CRM itself doesn't have the ability to send invoices and collect payment or track shipments. It's just not capable of doing that, okay? Zoho CRM is built with sales in mind, but not necessarily finance and fulfillment, okay? So finance and fulfillment is Zoho Books and Zoho Inventory, whereas Zoho CRM is primarily built for sales and to store your customer information, okay? So through that lens, some people don't use Zoho CRM and Zoho Books. So Zoho CRM hasn't included all the things that Books can do inside of the application. And so that's why they live separately. But the reason you should use quotes, because you can also use quotes inside of Zoho Books, which is great. But the reason you may not want to do that is because you don't have sometimes you don't want to give your sales reps access to Zoho Books too. That's an important thing to understand. That's a good first note. A good second note is when your reps create quotes inside of Zoho CRM, they have access to what's called CPQ, configure price quote. Let's go into CRM. I'll show you a little bit of this. And the CPQ functionality, it allows you a lot of automation that you otherwise wouldn't have access to, okay? And so you want to make sure you're generating quotes inside of CRM because number one, you have access to CPQ, which is additional automation to create these quotes that are very helpful. And then number two, you don't always want to give your reps access to your entire financial database or your bookkeeping solution or your accounting system. You don't want to do that. And so you want to keep it in CPQ. But then once the deal is done, they've signed, you've sent them the quote. Maybe they haven't even signed, you just sent them the quote and they've committed to it. That's when you'd want to actually go into the record, use this script. And when you click on this button, it will execute the script and then take you to the sales order. You don't have to have it take you to the sales order. I just do that for demonstration's sake. And that is the best practice for going from a quote to a sales order. Got Zoho CRM here for sending out invoices as well. So let's take a step back. Let's say I'm about to close a deal and I'm a sales manager. What would I actually do? Well, I need to send out a proposal. Someone's requested a proposal to sign. Well, I can send that proposal with Zoho Sign, or I can use mail merge, and then I can use a proposal here, and then I can merge that information. Okay, so merging information will take info from the record, and then it will place that information inside of the proposal or document that you want to generate. I'm using this as an example. This is kind of a cruddy example document, but it just gives you the general idea. You can use mail merge and Zoho Sign to merge information into any document that you want. Okay, this is just an example for you. And so you can see Casey's General Store, Drew Brockbank, that's merged over. Then I can go over here and distribute, upload to Sign Services, take to Zoho Sign. Once I upload this to Zoho Sign, I can send it for signature. And so you can see in just a couple clicks, I've generated a document automatically, merged the relevant information. Now I can send it out for signature to the relevant stakeholders in the deal that I'm trying to close. Whether it's one stakeholder or multiple, you can send it out for signature. You can even send it to signature to one stakeholder and then for other people just to view and approve. Okay, so I'm not going to go through the rest of this, but this is where you can enter the emails and then enter your automatic reminders and the different options here to send that out. The other nice thing is once someone signs and you've closed that deal, because a close in a B2B context would be someone signing as opposed to outright paying for something. Maybe you have different payment terms. You may want to say, hey, they initially need to pay before we consider them close one. But most of the time, once they sign the contract, you can mark them as closed because they're now contractually obligated to do business with you. That's what signing an agreement is. So from there, the nice thing is we're inside of Zoho CRM, but you can use the Zoho Finance suite, which is Zoho Books, Zoho Inventory, and a couple other apps to actually send an invoice right from the CRM. So it integrates really nicely here. You can also use quotes to initially send over, hey, this is how much it's going to cost. But once you send over a quote, I would highly recommend they approved it and you've sent out initially an agreement to sign. You'd use the quote to give them a general idea of what they're purchasing, how much it's going to cost. So you have not a general idea, and you want to give them exactly what they're going to be paying for. From there, you can go over to the Zoho Finance section. And then from here, you can even create an estimate. So if you want, you could create an estimate versus a quote. I would argue quotes is better to use because a quote allows you to use configure price quote functionality. So CPQ are features that are uniquely available inside of Zoho CRM. It allows you to do a lot more than what you can do here. But you can use estimates if you want, and then you can convert an estimate to a sales order, then a sales order to an invoice. You do want to do the sales order, by the way. The best flow that I recommend is from a quote, create a sales order, from a sales order, create multiple invoices. That might not be appropriate for you. I'd want to really understand your processes to give you a final recommendation here. But typically a sales order acts as the master financial record. It both represents the payment obligation and then moving of physical goods or the delivery of a service or product. Or in other words, let's say you buy a consulting engagement for me, it's $40,000, just making this up on the fly. And I say, hey, you got to pay 20% or 50% up front, which would be $20,000, then 50% at the end, which would be another $20,000. A sales order would represent one engagement. That's what you purchased from me. And then I'd have two invoices, which would be the $20,000 at the beginning, $20,000 at the end. Okay. So just to give you an idea, you can create that invoice right from here. You don't even have to leave the Zoho CRM interface. You can see it took me to the Zoho Finance section of Zoho CRM, which can get a bit confusing, but once you start using it, it's just so clean the way that you can do all this. You can select the items that are relevant, and then you can get going. So you can see it's already filled out. The databases between Zoho CRM and Zoho Books are integrated, which just makes this super easy. I also use Zoho Vault to store my passwords. I store my client passwords too because I've got to access their accounts. This is a secure way to do it. And I can also use the plugin here. You can see I can access passwords using the Chrome plugin, and there's plugins for many of these applications in Zoho. I also use Zoho Click for internal communication. So if I want to go back and forth with people in my organization, I use Click. It just makes it easier. Text, email, call, a friend's family, girlfriend who, it gets so confusing to use all those different ways at work. And I hear people complain about it. That's why I list them off. Is they'll complain, yeah, I get a text from my boss and then an email, and then they send me, just use Click, or they get a Slack message. Click, Slack, same thing. Click is Zoho's version of Slack, and it's a great application. You should totally use it for internal communication. Just makes life so much easier. It's got a great mobile app as well. Speaking of mobile apps, I use almost all the Zoho mobile apps to get the job done. I didn't talk about Zoho Mail. I don't use Zoho for its workspace applications, including Zoho Mail, but you can use it and they are great. I just like the Google suite of applications. Also, I'm trying to mimic the tech stack that generally my clients have. Most of the time my clients are either on Microsoft or Google and they're unwilling to move over. That's totally fine. You don't even have to get the most out of Zoho. Zoho as a platform, you don't have to marry every single application, but use the ones that are going to really make an impact on the organization. Okay, so popular mobile applications, okay? So if you want to run your business from your phone, this is your way to do it. These are all the different mobile applications that Zoho offers. They're super powerful. Use them all the time. I love being able to run my business from my phone. I hate having to feel like every time there's something going on in the organization that I have to sit down at my desk. Sometimes I just want to get it done on my phone and not worry about it. That's what the mobile apps allow me to do. Finally, we've got a couple other applications here. I don't use Zoho Desk because it's not really relevant to how I do business. But for those of you who are tech companies that need, or any kind of organization that really needs a customer success or support operation going on, if you require a customer support success operation, you're going to want to use Zoho Desk. Zoho Desk is super powerful. It allows you to collect tickets, which just represent issues, questions that are coming from customers or prospective customers, and then respond to them very quickly. We're not going to go super in depth. I have a masterclass on this if you want to look at it, but it allows you to have those tickets enter as a queue. You can assign them to different agents, and then they can go in to the ticket itself and actually have a conversation. They can reply right back to these tickets in real time, which is great. Last couple things I'm going to show you here. Let's say you have signed someone, you've closed their closed one opportunity. You can also create a project, okay? Zoho Projects allows you to manage all the work for yourself and your organization. So you'll notice here when I press this, we're gonna refresh here. I've got like 1,000 tabs open, so Zoho's kind of freaking out on me. Essentially, you can think of Zoho Projects as a to-do list on steroids. So if I go over to projects here, click on add, got this drop down. I'm inside of Zoho CRM, Zoho Projects as a separate application will allow me to select a template, a project title. I'm going to be coming out with the Zoho Projects Masterclass here pretty soon, so you can get even more details on this. But let's say I just wanted to do my onboarding template. I don't have one here, but you can imagine it real quick. If I had an onboarding template and I signed a new client, it would just give me the list of everything that I need to do. And then I could view that project. If we go over to Zoho Projects, I can view that project at a high level. we want to make sure we're taking that section. There we go. I can view all of the projects related to, I don't have one created for this demo, but you can see if I had created one, I could see overall how the project is progressing. I could see the different tasks, the milestones. And so Zoho Projects is extremely powerful, not giving it enough love in this demo, but that's totally fine. I'm going to come out with the master class that you can check out. It's going to give you way more detail. Also got one on Zoho Desk. Let's talk Zoho FSM. For those of you who are managing work in the field, maybe you're doing solar, maybe you have your roof contractor, whatever it is. If you are managing work in the field, you want Zoho FSM. It integrates very nicely with the rest of Zoho. You have to pay for it separately, but it is extremely useful. Your work orders will populate here. You can use a dispatch console to take those work orders and actually manage it in the best way possible. Then your field service reps can use an application to see where they need to go to manage the routes in the best way possible to get the job done and update things as needed. Okay, so you got requests, estimates, work orders. This mimics some of the modules inside of Zoho CRM, but usually in Zoho CRM, you'll manage everything up till the work order. Close one deal will become a work order. You'll make service appointments. Use the dispatch console to say, hey, these are the service appointments. These are the different people that are going to, these are the different technicians that are going to have the service appointment. And then they're going to go forward and make sure they get their work done the best way possible. So that is some of the Zoho applications. This isn't all 45 plus, but these are the Zoho applications I would say for most B2B organizations. Field service management, mentioned solar, field service, that's not going to be B2B, but some of you are doing, I've had a client who they sell large manufacturing equipment, and then they've got to do service appointments. That's B2B, and this is a great tool to use for you who are doing B2B field service management, okay? Great tool to use. So these are the applications for a dream B2B Zoho system to help you streamline and automate your organization.